These are the opening paragraphs from my own master's thesis. I must have written these paragraphs maybe 8 to 10 times. Not just these paragraphs, but the whole of the introduction. I found the introduction to be the most difficult part to write. But for these particular paragraphs 1 and 2, I wanted to achieve several things. I wanted to conform to writing norms. So this first sentence here, that's a pretty standard opening sentence. So I wanted to, show that I knew and respected the traditions of academic writing. But at the same time, I didn't want this to be completely meaningless. So I wanted there to be a bit of a payoff for the reader. So I had to picture my reader, and I imagined my reader was educated and interested in my field, but not somebody who knew maybe more than me. And so I thought that if anything was new and interesting to me, it might also be new and interesting to the reader. So I made some assumptions. I assumed that if you know anything about linguistics, you would know that theories of language learning kind of began from a behaviorist perspective, and that you'd probably heard of Chomsky. I think everyone has probably heard of Chomsky. But I thought, and this was new for me, I thought that the subsequent theories after Chomsky were kind of all in some way related to the computer and the evolution of the ideas in second language learning or second language acquisition really followed the evolution of the information age of the computer. As ideas shifted in the last 15, 20 years to kind of ideas about emergent phenomena, that theories in linguistics have followed that trend. I guess in hindsight, there's nothing surprising about that, that theories in one area spill over into other areas. But it was a connection I hadn't made before, and I was hoping that maybe it was something new for my reader. So that would be the first payoff. I wanted to pay homage to just the sheer quantity of theories. I didn't want to kind of just list all these theories and bore my reader with it, because really this is what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about dynamic systems theory, because that's the thrust of my essay. So a lot of this first paragraph deals with really a definition of dynamic systems, and I thought that might be yet another payoff for my reader. So I wanted to make sure that my reader trusted me, to have done my homework, to have looked at all the different theories of language learning, because this is the focus of my essay, and to have wisely selected the particular one that I settled on. So I wanted to build trust in this first paragraph. I don't think there's anything controversial in here. I selected references which were relatively up to date, so that these hadn't been proven to be untrue, but also to show, that I'm not using out-of-date ideas. So the citations I tried to keep contemporary. And I wanted to keep it mainly descriptive, in contrast to the second paragraph, which is a little more controversial. And this is actually where I make my main claim. That's this here. It's untenable for a teacher to declare faith in a particular teaching formula. If this is well written, the reader should be able to predict what comes next. That I've made a bold claim, but I have not directly supported that with any evidence, and so you would expect, I hope, to see the evidence for this particular claim to quickly follow. In terms of style, one thing you might notice between these two paragraphs is a shift in style from being kind of descriptive and quite authoritative. I make kind of bold statements in the first paragraph, but in the second paragraph, this is very much more hedged.